made that?
Let's go.
Who made that? They're getting the boys are starting to do they're starting to surprise us now on the show. It's really fun. If our audio audience can't see because they're an audio audience, that was an amazing promo. That was very Ryder Cup New York themed. What is up, golf sickos? It's finally here. I am joined by my assistant captain.
Oh, hey.
You knew it was going to be assistant captain.
I didn't even think about it. But
well, it's assistant captain. You're in the red and white. I'm in the blue. It is Ryder Cup week. It's finally here. We have had this Ryder Cup circled on the calendars since it was announced. And it's finally here. It's sort of here. I want to warn everyone. This is about to be the longest week in golf because the tournament doesn't start until Friday. That Thursday is the longest day of the year because it's you think about the lead up. We're going to Bethpage tonight, and then you got Tuesday lead up, Wednesday lead up, and then that third day of lead up is we're still not starting this damn thing. I am so excited, and it's the best week in golf, and I'm not even sure you can call it the best week in golf because it only happens once every 2 years, and a home Ryder Cup for us in the U.S. only happens once every 4 years. I've been doing this golf thing for a little while now. Since I've been working doing this job, I've only experienced one home Ryder Cup. It was a little bit because of the pandemic, kind of screwed up the years. Mm-hmm. But I've only had one, and there were no European fans there because it was at Whistling Straits. It was right after the pandemic, and it was this is my first real home Ryder Cup experience, and I'm extremely excited because this is the week, Ben, that we get to feel like the other sports.
Yeah.
Music blasting on the first tee, guys walking through the tunnel, a proper home field advantage. It's funny, in golf, when guys play their home event, sometimes they're it's honestly a little annoying. Everyone wanted tickets. I felt a little bit of pressure. We finally get a home field advantage. You know, we also get this week, Ben? We get a little bit of shit talk.
Oh, yeah.
We get a little bit of shit talk, some old-fashioned shit talk.
And it's already begun.
It's already begun. So let's start with Rory and Bryson. They do not like each other. These men don't like each other, and they don't make a secret about it, and I love it. Good. So one of my favorite fun facts is that Rory is only 4 years older than Bryson because they feel like they're from completely different generations. One of them is running away from the spotlight, wants to be in private, sipping wine with his wife and kid. The other one's live streaming everything, powered by Celsius and memes. It's they couldn't be on more opposite sides. They're just super fucking different. Yeah. And this is the one week where we can all lean into it. So this kind of rivalry started last year at Pinehurst, 2024, when Bryson broke Rory's heart. Rory speeds out of the parking lot. Then Rory gets him back at Augusta, and Bryson, after the round, Rory wouldn't talk to me. Rory's I don't know what he wanted me to say. I'm trying to win the Masters. I'm not trying to be friends with him. Then Bryson said earlier this year, I think it was at the Happy Gilmore 2 premiere, that he was going to get in Rory's ear. He's going to get Rory back big time. And then Rory fired back. Let's pull up what Rory had to say about Bryson DeChambeau. He said, I think the only way he gets attention is by mentioning other people. That is basically what I think of that. To get attention, he will mention me or Scotty or others. It's getting a little bit spicy, and I love it. I absolutely love it because this is the one week where there's actually one player playing against another player. And what we need, what golf deserves, is Bryson v. Rory in Sunday singles. I don't know why. I think it's because Bryson's playing on live. I don't think of him every week. It kind of just hit me this morning as I was driving here. I was like, we need Bryson versus Rory in singles. We really need it. We need them to go at each other. We know they don't like each other. They've won majors. They're of the same generation. And I want to see them go head to head.
I have a question for you.
I'll have an answer for you, hopefully.
If you're either captain, how do you feel about that? Are you nervous if you're Luke? Are you nervous if you're Keegan? Are you confident if you're Keegan? Are you confident if you're Luke?
I think you're confident if
in that
you're
matchup.
Both. I think you're confident in both. I think both guys will relish it. I think
you love that.
I love it.
If you're either and the entertainment value. So it's a win-win for coaches, for us, for the fans.
It's a win-win for everybody. Let's just make sure it happens. I just, golf sometimes gets in its own way. Let's not get in the way of Bryson DeChambeau versus Rory McIlroy in a Sunday singles match. And it doesn't even really matter what the score is because if a singles match breaks through, a singles match breaks through. I think of Phil versus Sergio in 2016, I think it was. The U.S. was dominating, and it was this incredible match, and we all, still remember it as that incredible match. I think about Patrick Reed versus Rory. The U.S. was dominating. We still remember that match. We need to see it no matter what.
It's a cool thing about match play events like this is that you can actually suspend disbelief of what's going on with the total score and lock into a singles match like that and just be like, I'm watching this shot for shot.
And, we've talked a lot about match play throughout the year on this show because there's a lot of talk about, would match play work for the Tour Championship? I've actually kind of come around and I feel like match play wouldn't work, but match play works this week.
Oh, yeah.
And what's so great about match play, all you need is a little national pride, and once every 2 years, and match play works. But what's so great about it is from the first hole, and when you talk to guys, they'll say, we play a lot of golf tournaments. You know, a lot of our golf is not shown on TV. It's not us in contention. It's me finishing tie for 14th. You know, you can almost not go through the motions, but there's a little bit of going through the motions. That doesn't exist this week. It's from the very first hole. Someone's going to have a putt to win the hole, or someone's going to have a putt to tie the hole. And you are thrown into that 18th hole on Sunday emotional space from the very first hole.
We'll get to this later with Scott Fawcett, but that first hole is also a very exciting one, where they put the tees for this tournament, from the two ways that you can kind of play that hole, depending on who goes first.
I think
who's the first two people to hit off that tee box, like they're going to set the tone for the whole rest.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll get into this with Scott, but for people who don't know, they move the tee over to the left. Basically, they created. I'm really excited to see the build out. It looks insane, and we're starting to see videos circle through. But they created this massive horseshoe around the 18th green, and they move the tee. It's typically like a pretty sharp dogleg to the right. I think it's still a little bit of a dogleg to the right, but they move the tee to the left so you can kind of aim more over those trees. So it's within that horseshoe of a grandstand.
If you're a dog, you can drive that green.
Bryson's I remember Bryson first hole at Whistling Straits when he hit on the green, and then was like Inigo Montoya with his sword, going like this. It's and Rory's not the only one talking trash. Justin Rose.
Oh yeah.
Did you see this? Let's pull this up, Andy. Justin Rose said, European Ryder Cup captain veteran Justin Rose has called the U.S. team strategy into question. I think America have tried too hard to become a team, whereas Europe is a bit more natural and organic, which I find rich because we are one country. And I think it comes from deeper roots in a way, which is interesting. I think the Americans have gotten a little bit, they think being a great team is about being best mates. I really don't think that's what being a great team is. Being a great team is having a kind of real good theme and having an identity that has come from players before you, and you all buy into that vision. So the trash talk is flowing. There's going to be, everyone's an expert on team dynamics this week, even though we do it once every 2 years in our sport.
What's your take on that take, by the way? I'm curious what you think.
They're clearly not shying away from a little bit of giving it back to the Americans. I think, this is a team that 11 of the 12 are coming back from the last Ryder Cup, so they have a little bit of experience. They have a little bit of know-how. They're not going to be wowed by the moment. So I think they're leaning into it. I think it's going to be fantastic. So
I think based on even wearing the red, white, and blue, I think that's a pretty accurate statement about the disposition of both of those teams. It comes a lot more naturally to those guys to band together.
Well, I think it's a little bit of like a collective versus an individual mindset. I think we're the United States of America. We're, proudly capitalist country. It's like, I think, when you talk to captains, especially Ryder Cup captains recently, they're like, I want to let our guys be our guys. And so if you have your physio and you have your two swing coaches that are with you, we want to have those guys with you. We want this week to be a normal week, where I do think the Europeans are like, this isn't a normal week. Why would it be a normal week?
Well, I think there's also the year-long factor of they're the outsiders playing on an American tour all year long. Yeah. This is their chance.
They get to lean into being home again, 100%. Yeah. It's going to be electric. So we're going to talk about everything Ryder Cup. Before we do that, we're going to jump into a segment we call the Knockaround, presented by Knockaround Sunglasses. 20 years of Knockaround Sunglasses. Let's give a little clap to the Knockaround people. I'm wearing the Brooklines because 1999, actually no, I think it was 1999. Ryder Cup at Brookline, Justin Leonard. So this is a little bit of a Ryder Cup theme. The best sunglasses in the game. Stop spending stupid money on sunglasses. You're going to lose them. You're going to knock them around. It's in the name. You can knock these around, and we have a promo code for you. So if you go to knockaround.com/golf, you can look at all the golf sunglasses. And if you put the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off your first order, which I think brings these incredible sunglasses under $30. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. So let's start with the U.S. Mid-Am. The U.S. Mid-Am this year was basically just the former Professional Golfer Open. I don't say this lightly. I'm going to hit the honesty button. I don't remember which one's the honesty button.
Hit them both.
I'm going to hit them both.
Because it's utter woke nonsense, too.
I think Bobby Jones was rolling over in his grave last week. 6 of the 8 quarterfinalists at the U.S. Mid-Am were former professional golfers. So it was won by Brandon Holtz. He's 38 years old. And anytime, congratulations to Brandon Holtz. He eagled the last hole. I'm not taking anything away from him winning the golf tournament. Anytime a Mid-Am qualifies for the, wins the Mid-Am, the media, the casual media, I'll say, is like, oh, this real estate agent is playing in the Masters. What they forgot to mention is that he was a professional golfer for 6 years. And I want to read you a quote from Brandon Holtz. He said, I liked to play for cash, but it got to the point where I just wasn't playing any events anymore, so decided to get my amateur status back. Is that really what the U.S. Mid-Am is about? Shouldn't it be guys who never turn professional? I think about turning pro, and this is a take that I've been sitting on for a long time. I think turning pro should mean something in golf. I think if you turn pro, you're a professional golfer forever. And I got no problem with you having a handicap and playing in club tournaments. Clubs can make their own rules, but I don't think you should be able to play in a USGA event if you turn professional. The mid-am should be guys who played in college and they had to juggle jobs since then, not guys who practiced full-time. For 6 years, this guy was a professional golfer. And it's not just him. It was the 6 out of the 8 quarterfinalists were former pros. It's the U.S. mid-am. It's not the failed Tour Pro Open. And I just, it bothered me. And I was having this conversation yesterday with someone and they said, look, it's a slippery slope. And I'm like, I don't really think that it is. If you turn professional, you should not be able to play in USGA amateur events. I think it's quite simple.
What is the slippery slope?
The slippery slope is, so it's like if like Willie Wilcox could not get his amateur status back because he played 4 years on the PGA Tour. How much success you had as a professional golfer determines how long it takes you to get your amateur status back. So maybe he actually could, but it would take him like 10 years of not playing in an event.
Right.
So it's like, where do you draw the line? You draw the line with, if you turn pro, you turn pro.
When you cross the line, you're over the line.
You cross the line.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if someone turns professional in tennis and then they come back and they're playing like club events, they're still like you were a professional tennis player.
It's like when they made Jimmy Carter sell his peanut farm when he became president.
That's exactly it. It's exactly it. So that just it made my blood boil a little bit. You know, I think it's not in the spirit of the mid-am. I don't think it's, you know, like I said,
I don't think it's in the spirit of the game.
I don't think it's in the spirit of the game. It's guys who played professional golf, realized they weren't good enough to make it as a professional golf, so that they weren't good enough to make it as a mid-am and possibly back their way into the Masters. So congratulations to Brandon Holtz. I'm not, you know, don't blame the player, blame the game. I blame the game. I think there needs to be a rule. Turning professional should mean something in golf. Speaking of the mid-am, Paul Mitchell lost a match in extra holes because his caddy took a cart ride, and this is actually not the first time I've seen this.
Oh, look at that stance.
I feel like a couple of Corn Ferry guys got DQ'd from an event for this exact thing. So first time is sort of shame on you is my take on this. Second time is shame on me. I do understand wanting a cart, though, in mid-September in Scottsdale. It was probably super, super hot. So moving over to Ireland, obviously I am probably a little too interested in the Irish golf amateur scene. I think it's because I went there and had this incredible experience. But we got to give a shout out to Colin Rafferty. He became the first player on record to win the 4 provincial championships, a.k.a. the 4 directional championships. So he had already won the South of Ireland, the West of Ireland, and the East of Ireland in his life, and he completed the career Grand Slam by winning the North of Ireland at Port Stewart.
The Compass Slam.
The Compass Slam is complete, so a shout out to our boy Colin Rafferty. I saw our guy Jonathan Keane, Dog of the Year. He was playing.
All kinds of history coming out of Ireland this year. It was a huge year for Irish golf.
Huge win. Yeah, Grand Slams are wild on the Irish island. You know, we had Rory do it, and now we got Colin Rafferty. So something's in the water.
I don't like what the vibes are saying about this week.
Something's in the water in Ireland. A bit of a bummer here. Not a bit of a bummer, big bummer. The Century is not going to happen at Kapalua. Rough couple of years for Maui. You know, obviously the Lahaina fires, and then there's a pretty severe drought situation. So I actually had a friend who played Kapalua a couple weeks ago, and they were like, it's in really rough shape. Like they just don't have water. The course is dying. So it's the first tournament of the year. It's always it's in January, and so you got the whole East Coast being like, why the fuck don't I just live in Hawaii? Because it's like 75 degrees and you're watching whales as opposed to, you know, shoving snow out of your driveway. But it won't be at Kapalua. And Kapalua is an awesome tournament to watch because that course is so unique. You get that 18th hole with the drone shots and the 420-yard drive, so it's a bummer that I won't be there. The Masters is going to be streaming on Amazon, early round coverage. Oh, to be a fly in the wall in that conversation. That is a clash of generations, but Augusta deserves credit. They're always modernizing. They stick with the times. So I think it's 2 hours of extra coverage early in the week will be on Amazon Prime. But if you're not on the Masters app all day on Thursday morning, you might not know ball. You know what I mean? I got no complaints about adding more ways to watch this tournament. Put it on Fubo and Tubo and TB and whatever you need to do. I'll find it. Michael Kim. So Michael Kim won the French Open. He's the first American in over 50 years to do it. He had a clutch par save at the last. Great year for Michael Kim. He was super hot in the beginning of the year. Saw Brooks Koepka finish a few shots back. He's playing every week, and for purses that are minuscule compared to what he plays for at Live Golf. So it sure seems like it's not about the money for Brooks right now. He wants to get back to being one of the best players in the world. Hey, Brooksy, I know a tour where you can play more than 14 times a year, and you don't have to travel all around the world, and I know a tour. Oh, yeah, I heard of that one. Yeah. You know, heard a contract might be coming up soon. I'm just thinking maybe if you want to play more golf and test yourself against the best players in the world and you've already got all that money, I know a tour for you, potentially. He has until Sunday to think about it. He has until Sunday. Over on the Corn Ferry Tour, Jean Vanderlen won on the Korn Ferry Tour, which I think is another ominous sign because that's just a very European name.
Yeah.
He is an American, but I saw he's been playing on the Korn Ferry Tour for like 6 years or 7 years. Also wanted to give a shout out to Jeffrey Kang, who's a Southern California guy. He finished 3rd or 4th to lock up his PGA Tour card. USC grad. He's been grinding for a really long time. We've got some mutual friends. Great to see guys finally realize their dream. One more thing, 2 more things. The LPGA event was canceled after 18 holes because of all that rain. How good that must have felt for the grounds crew that moment. It's like it's like when you're going to go to this party and you know, and you got something in the morning and you're not feeling well and you finally decide to pull the trigger and say I'm not going, and you get this incredible release. That grounds crew is probably like
Yeah, it's like the text coming back saying party's canceled.
Yeah, yeah, it's not even nothing you can do. Oh, okay, we can sleep in tomorrow.
I'm so sorry.
And then Ben, tell us about this really cool event that Scratch is having this week in New York.
Yes, so if you're in New York City this week for that event that's taking place on Long Island, we are throwing the Scratch Clubhouse down at the Lawn Club, downtown New York. 1 Fulton Street is the address. We're going to be there all day from the first tee shots through the end of the day, through the last putt dropping. We're going to kick it off with some Irish coffees in the morning. We have a ton of great brands.
Look at those brands.
Yeah, look at this. Good Good's going to be there. Jay Lindbergh.
Reigning Champ.
Bogner, Reigning Champ.
Jones.
Students.
Hyper Ice.
Our friends at Sugarloaf, of course, will be there. For All. Lots of programming going on. Like, it's going to be the place to be on Friday all day, and it's free. So head to our website. We'll put a link somewhere. There's a link. There you go. QR code.
Look at us
right
with the
now
QR code.
and come for free. Shout out to Josh, our designer, for whipping this together.
Nice job, Josh.
Yeah.
And nice job, Scratch, getting this together.
Yeah, come hang with us on Friday.
I won't be there.
You'll be on the course, but
I'll be on the course. Well, you said come hang with us, and I just didn't want false advertising.
Us, you know, our homies.
The proverbial us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring on Bubba Watson. Bubba Watson is joining us live to preview the Ryder Cup. Bubba, do we have you live on the line right now?
I hope so.
I hope so is correct. Now, Bubba, you played in 4 Ryder Cups, your last one in 2018. And I was looking back. There's so much preparation that goes into the Ryder Cup now. Everyone played 2 weeks ago in Napa. When you guys did it in 2018, you guys played the Tour Championship. You had played 4 playoff events and went straight there. It feels like the preparation for the Ryder Cup has reached a different level. Do you get that sense that it's bigger now than it used to be, that more goes into it?
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to create more drama. You're trying to create the atmosphere that you want. So every side, every team is energetic about it. So yeah, when you play that many in a row, you get tired mentally, physically. Then you have to travel across seas. So yeah, they had to change the schedule for sure.
Now, you played in 4 Ryder Cups. You experienced a lot of different captains. What were you looking for in a captain? Because I think a lot of the guys say, we want to let our guys be our guys. What made a good captain for you?
I mean, a good captain it's an honor, right? It's basically like another form of Hall of Fame. You're not going to, Corey Pavin is not going to tell Tiger Woods what to do. Davis Love's not going to tell Tiger Woods what to do. Scotty Scheffler now, right? They might be able to tell me what to do, but these guys are so good at golf. You're just letting them play. It's an honor. It's a privilege and an honor and a blessing to be the captain. It's basically like another form of Hall of Fame, is to give you your credit for what you've done in the game of golf. So the captain really just stays out of the way, and he does all the interview questions before and after the rounds.
So that's kind of leads into my next question. You were an assistant captain in 2016, and I've been on record saying I thought that Keegan should play because I felt like, a lot of the preparation as the captain is before, right? It's figuring out, we got to get our guys the schedule right. We got to get the food right. We got to get the physios right. Once the tournament starts, how much are the captains and the assistant captains, you kind of just hinted at it, actually talking to the players? And were you surprised that he didn't play?
First of all, there's a lot to unpack here. I think it's amazing that he didn't play. I think he honored his commitment. It takes a special man to do that. I think that was awesome. Does he want to play? 100%. There is a lot, to now go back to the next part, there is a lot going on in between days and rounds, because you have to pick the team that's going out. What if some guy doesn't feel this best? What if some guy's hurt? I mean, there's a lot of things that happens behind the closed doors that the media or public doesn't know. There's things going on in people's lives. I mean, there's just so much going on that you have to dictate what's going on. You have to kind of address the media in certain ways so that people don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on for a captain. And he's put what, roughly 2 years into this. Why would he not want to be the captain and be a part of this and let some other young player have that spot on the team?
You played 3 matches against Ian Poulter, and he got the better of you and your team. What was it like playing against Ian Poulter in the Ryder Cup?
It's amazing. His focus, his determination is by far the greatest I've seen, through the years. Like, this is what he lives for, right? Golf and sports for us is more about individuals in the United States. That's how I feel. There is some, elite teams in certain sports, but we always talk about the quarterback, or we talk about a home run hitter. We talk about the individual that made the win for that team or that Super Bowl championship or the NBA championship. It's in golf, it's all individuals. So, but overseas, I feel like they're all about the team. They're growing up with different team sports that's focused on the team. And when it comes to Ryder Cup, that's all they care about. You hinted on it earlier. I was listening earlier. I think that as an American, not that you asked this question, but as an American, our whole goal, our whole drive for the year or 2 years is to make the top 12. I know they've changed the point system now, but when I was playing and trying to make it, it was the top 12. You make that, you feel like you've did what you wanted to do. Your goal was to make the team. Now you can take a breath and relax. You work so hard to make the team. You say your goal is to win, but the first goal is to make the team. And when you make the team, you kind of exhale and relax. And I think in Europe, you kind of know who's going to be there for the most part. And so they knew for
11 of the 12 are coming back.
Right. And so they know every year, not that there's not other talent out there, but either that other talent comes to the U.S. or goes somewhere else. So I think for us as Americans, especially for me personally, when I made the team, that was my trophy, is to make the team. Say I was on the Ryder Cup team, and I probably didn't handle it the way I needed to try to perform at my highest level because I was worried about the FedEx Cup, or I was worried about the Tour Championship, or I was worried about something else before I got to the Ryder Cup. So it makes it difficult, not hard. It just makes it, you have to challenge yourself differently, I guess.
Okay, 10-year-old, or I guess not 10-year-old, this was in 2010, 15-year-old Danny would not forgive myself right now if I did not ask you about this clip from I think it's the 2010 Ryder Cup. Andy, can we roll this clip? I can say it too. Come on. What were you and Jeff Overton like just trying to breathe some life into the team? Walk me through that experience.
So I'm going to be terrible with hole numbers, but it was early on in the round. It might be the 4th or 5th hole, somewhere in that area. And you look over and there was another group. I'm not going to tell you who the players were, but there was another group next to us, a hole over, and they were losing. And so our whole team was losing. There was nobody winning a match. And so we were just trying to, if you do that and the players see it, we were trying to get them fired up and get us fired up. So yeah, you were just trying to motivate people, and it didn't work. But you were trying to do that, right? I lost every Ryder Cup I played in. As a vice captain, I won, but I didn't win, but the players won. So we figured out my role. My role should always be vice captain so we can have a chance to win.
And before I let you go, I got to ask you for a prediction. Who's going to win this week?
Oh, man. You got to put me on the spot like that.
Yep.
I think the golf fan will win this week for sure.
What a politically correct answer.
He's right.
I listen, as we know, we want U.S. to win. But as we know, Europe is going to come stronger than ever. And I don't know how they set up Bethpage. So that's going to be the trick there. How they set up Bethpage, because we have the right to set it up a certain way, or we used to be able to. So that's going to be the trick. But obviously, we want the U.S. to win. We want to create more drama for the game of golf. U.S. wins. It'll be the first time we win in a while, so people will talk about U.S. golf for the next few weeks. But I know that Europe's not going to let that be easy.
All right.
That was politically correct as well.
Very politically correct. You've done very well, Bubba. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks.
Yeah, that was
See
awesome.
ya.
That was good stuff. So he was curious about how Bethpage is going to play. Well, we got answers. We have our guy Scott Fawcett.
Yeah.
We're going to break down the golf course from every angle. We're going to talk a little bit about strategy, about match play strategy versus stroke play strategy, and if it changes at all. So here I am with stats guru, Mr. Scott Fawcett. All right, we are joined by stats aficionado, golf strategy guru. Just using a lot of fancy words right now, but it's Scott Fawcett.
My title changes every time I do any show, so I like it.
Title changes. It's part of it. It's fun. You know, you got to tune in and see what the title's going to be. We're joined by Scott Fawcett. We did these course breakdowns for a couple of the majors. You guys seem to really dig it, so we're bringing Scott back for the Ryder Cup. Before we jump into the intricacies of Bethpage Black, you know, I think there's a lot of talk always about match play versus stroke play and the perceived differences or the real differences. So is there a difference in it from a strategy perspective?
There really shouldn't be. I mean, you just don't know what your opponent's going to make on any given hole until they have the ball very close to the hole. I mean, if an 8-foot putt is 50-50 on tour, you really for sure don't even know within a half a shot approximately what they're going to make, kind of no matter where they hit it until they get inside of 8 feet. And so we wind up doing too much prediction, and it's on imperfect information. At least in a match, I'm playing this guy as opposed to a normal tour event. I'm playing the entire leaderboard, which is even more fraught with disaster. But I do think that you're expending way too much mental energy running constant iterations of what could happen on any given hole, where my match is. And I think it's just a little exhausting. Plus, when you're in a situation like this, your brain and energy just starts going faster. It's like even if you're just trying to win the B flight of your club championship or break 80 for the first time or whatever, your brain starts going faster. And the more stuff you're thinking about, the more you're going to be susceptible to that. Plus, it's also just kind of irrelevant.
Right, but it's an interesting point because it is sort of, you know, man on man or head to head combat or whatever you want to call it, but it's not tennis, right? It's not like, you know, if I pound this guy's backhand, you know, I'm gonna make inroads in the match because you really don't know. Nothing that you do is going to impact, you know, in theory, what they do. And I think, you know, a lot of what I think you might pull your hair out is like, if one of these guys, you know, the first team tees off first, right? And they hit one out of play or they hit one in a really bad spot. And then the sort of before you came in and kind of dispelled all these notions, it was like, okay, well, if he's out of play, I'm just going to hit an iron down the fairway. You know, and I know I can see in your face that's just the wrong play.
Well, you really are just increasing your odds of making a double then. I mean, the most powerful portion of knowing what I'm going to make on any given hole is how far do I have left for my next shot. Okay, so it's not going to be inside of 8 feet, but I would rather be up there at 310 instead of back, you know, wherever at 210. I mean, 240, whatever. It's just proper strategy results in fewer bogeys and doubles. The birdie rates pretty much remain the same if you're playing with, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, air quotes, decade strategy, optimal strategy. Your score drops by avoiding bogey and double more than it does by making more birdies, which is also the reason why trying to like, oh my God, I feel like my opponent's hit it close. I'm going to try to stuff this one with my iron shot. No, you still should choose the correct target. You might have a slightly longer birdie putt on average, but you're going to have more of them. So your birdie rate really doesn't change. Plus, unless your opponent's inside of 8 feet, which it's really hard to tell from 170 in the fairway if they actually are or aren't, you're also just kind of guesstimating still what they're going to make on a hole. Zalatoris, when I caddied for him when he won the U.S. Juniors, in the quarters or semis, on number 9, the pin was up front, and it looked like our opponent had hit it tight. And so I was like, all right, well, let's go ahead and get a little bit more aggressive here. So we really did bring our target back from where it was. And he hit kind of a little floater that wound up in the short right bunker. And we get up there, and the opponent was actually like 12 feet. And Will hit a pretty good bunker shot out just outside of him. And now the guy just has to two-putt from 13 feet. So you're just, to what you were saying earlier, golf is a very unique sport that you can't impact your opponent's play. Bowling is like the only other sport that I can really think of where you are just playing yourself. And as a result, someone, when I used to say this all the time, someone would always get in the comments and be like, well, you can do some gamesmanship stuff. And I'm like, well, I assume you're not being an asshole. I assume, yes, you can do that. You can jiggle change and yell in their backswing, but let's just pretend we're not going to do that.
Yeah, but I do think, and I'm wondering, you've worked with players who have played in these before. We see sometimes toward the end of big events, it's harder for guys to make the right decision because their brain is moving faster. I feel like this is that almost from the first tee on Friday. It feels like, every hole is such high leverage, and with the crowd noise, it's got to be important to go in with a plan, because if you don't go in with a plan, you're gonna feed off that energy and do stuff that you probably shouldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, and again, one of the main criticisms I get is that everything I teach is common sense. I just played in the U.S. Mid-Am last week, and I played with a guy, Jonathan Bale, shout out Jonathan, who was a great player. He's ranked in the top 150 in Wagger, and he hit a lot of pretty dumb clubs off the tee, in my estimation. And he asked me afterwards, he's like, did you see anything? I'm like, yeah, you don't have a clue how a tee shot strategy works. And so we went and got on a webinar just yesterday, and it's just amazing how here's a great player, and he went in with basically no preset strategy off the tee. So coming into a place like Bethpage, there's not a guy in the field at this point who doesn't understand the premise of Decade and understands to really put thought in before. And I try to say this as offensively as possible. If you have a plan before the round starts and you ditch it because of where the match stands or something else, you've quit. It's not like you pouted and dropped your clubs and walked into the clubhouse, but if you are changing what your predetermined strategy was for any reason whatsoever, you've quit on what your plan was. So I think it's just a bad idea. I mean, again, you're constantly running these iterations of where could I change? What you theoretically already picked out an optimal strategy.
Right.
Now just run the script.
And the optimal strategy, that's another thing that's hard for people to wrap their head around. If you're 2 down through 9, the optimal strategy doesn't change, right? You can't force birdies, even these guys who are the best players in the world. There
is one spot in golf where you can alter strategy a little bit, and we're doing what we want to do is increase our variance without destroying our scoring average. And on somewhat reachable par 5s or somewhat drivable par 4s with a lot of penalties and stuff around, you can get pretty aggressive on those. But I'd only do it if I'm like 2 down with 3 to play. If I'm 2 down at the turn and 10 is a sketchy par 5, I would not change there at all, because I just want to keep going with the lowest scoring average. But if we're getting late in the tournament, especially in match play, where I just either win or lose this match, and there's not a bigger overall picture, then that's fine. You could deviate a little bit. I think it's like 15 or 16 is a 600 and something yard par 5. That's a spot where we might try to hit a driver off the ground or something that you would never do if you're dormy or 2 down.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump into the golf course. So I think what everyone says about Bethpage Black is it's sort of right in front of you. There's not a crazy amount of nuance. Is that kind of what you see?
Yeah. I mean, I did another one of these with a guy last week, and as I was going through it, I'm like, there's really not a whole lot of overwhelmingly interesting stuff. There is, but it's pretty right in front of you.
Okay, so first hole is pretty simple. We move to the second hole here. Interesting. I don't see you write your longest iron very often.
Well, and this comes down to shape. This purely comes down to shape of the hole. So I'm quite obviously the guy I think that's championed hitting your driver one way. Yeah, but shaping it one way and one way only. And so this is a hole that for most faders will set up very awkward. You can get an iron to draw easier than a driver because you can move the ball back in your stance. You could even on this hole, a 3-wood or a mini driver, get that drawing. This is one that you kind of want the ball shaping with the hole for the most part. A guy like Bryson could get away with driver on this hole, assuming he won't just hit it all the way through everything. I don't think he's hitting it quite as far as he was a few years ago. But since I can hit an iron and leave myself a wedge in, it's just not as big of a problem. Trees become a big problem with any sort of, flare to the right or hot pull. So this is a spot where you could drop back in order to draw an iron.
You mentioned trees, and I've talked a lot on this show about how I don't like the trend of getting rid of all of the trees in modern golf courses. I understand it's in vogue, and I understand why, from like a club perspective, it makes it a little bit more generous for the 8 handicaps out there. And I guess it's better for turf conditions. But as a guy who's played at the highest level and a guy who has coached players at the highest level, can you just speak to how much trees like that it lingers in your head? They matter, don't they?
It's insane. I mean, again, one of the main arguments I get into with the architecture historian crowd is what do we do to combat length? I'm like, well, you certainly don't cut all the trees down. I mean,
we saw it at Oakmont. It was like, you could just, and I think we saw it at Eastlake too. You know, there was all this talk when they were setting up Eastlake this year. It's like, we're going to make it really difficult. We're going to make it really difficult. And the scores were so low because the guys could just hit driver everywhere with no pay. If this hole had no trees on it, you'd probably tell guys to hit driver. It's a narrow fairway.
Just hit driver. I mean, again, the main question in proper tee shot strategy is what's the alternative and what does it accomplish? So if this hole had no trees on it, well, but then fairway's narrow, so I'm going to draw back to 3-wood. Well, you don't hit your 3-wood that much straighter. You just hit it 40 yards shorter. Now let's drop all the way back to an iron because we're for sure going to put this thing in the fairway. I've got a number of videos in the Decade app showing ShotLink images from par threes. The number 15 at Innisbrook plays 200 yards, and the shot pattern every single year is literally 50 yards wide and 50 yards deep. And so it's like, that's a 5-iron. I mean, maybe even a 6 for some of these guys. Like, just because you drop back does not mean you're going to hit the fairway. You're going to hit it more often, but 100% of the time you're going to be somewhere between 30 and 70 yards further back. And it's such straightforward. That was hard to say math, very basic weighted expectation math. I mean, again, circling back to people telling me that what I teach is common sense. I'm like, I don't disagree once the very basic math was run on it.
Okay, let's move to number 4. This is, one of the signature holes over here at Bethpage Black, kind of a signature Tillinghast great hazard hole. Your decision here is really with the second shot, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just how deep are they saying the rough is this week? Have they said anything at all yet?
I haven't heard much, but I can't imagine it will be that deep. I mean, typically with the U.S. team, and obviously these are broad strokes, the U.S. typically sets up golf courses long with less rough, whereas we've seen, the last 2 Ryder Cups that were in Europe, in France and in Italy, kind of more angly golf courses, kind of tighter fairways, kind of longer rough, because they want to take the driver or make the driver less of a weapon for the Americans.
And it's interesting because I don't even know that strategy is accurate either. But this is, again, just another hole that's going to fit the right to left ball flight. So Bryson or Robert McIntyre are going to feel a little bit more comfortable on this tee shot. But once you're in the rough, I mean, that's, hole's 517 from the backs. Yes, it plays downhill some off the tee, but if you're not in this fairway and the rough is anything at all, you're probably going to need to lay it up, because the last thing you want to do is put it in the rough short of the bunker or have yourself some sort of a really long bunker shot. So having the patience and discipline to accept your medicine and take it sometimes is one of the most important things. Just because your opponent's maybe in the fairway at 200 yards, scoring average in the fairway at 200 yards is 2.225, something like that, or 3.25. So they're averaging a quarter of a shot ish over par. Just because your opponent's in the fairway does not mean they're making par by any stretch of the imagination. So just going ahead and playing your proper strategy. I do think, just because you mentioned that, since I brought up the rough, the Junior Ryder Cup is playing this thing. I've done some work for that team. They're playing it on Thursday before, and I actually thought about that yesterday. I was like, man, if they got the rough up, those kids could really have a nightmare of a time.
Well, it's a massive golf course.
It's a massive golf course.
All right, number 6.
So here we got this green's a little bit more narrow, I should say on average. So we've got 260 of these bunkers. Again, it starts getting super tight between the junk up here. I'm assuming they're keeping those lines relatively similar. I would just say whatever fits your eye the best. Again, laying it back right here is one thing. Obviously, now we've got driver up here. This is only 53 at 300 from junk to junk. How bad this is, how much your New York crowd's going to look for your ball or step on it if you're a Euro is certainly going to come into play. But these native areas historically on this course is definitely something you need to avoid. This
might be one where you would lay back.
This might be one where I would lay back. Again, a lot of that has to do with shot shape too, though, but it's just very narrow up here.
All right, talk to me about number 11. This looks like another hole where it's just bunkers left, bunkers right.
67 in the main image down here, 55 at 270 in the smaller image. You can just see stuff's in play no matter what. The one thing that is interesting at Bethpage for a great course, the fairway bunker lips aren't very bad. And I was actually talking with one of the best college coaches in the country last week, and he was like, I feel like we're overvaluing fairway bunkers. And most people do. You're like, I just don't want to be in that lip. You're usually not in the lip. 10% of the time, maybe. You're just not in the lips. And again, you can just look at ShotLink images and you can just see, yeah. So the further we are, if we lay it back into this bunker, hole's 435. So now we're going to have a longer iron, obviously, from the 3-wood than the driver. the lip is going to be in play more. So we're hitting 3-wood to avoid the bunker, or to air quotes, hit it in the fairway. But now we've just made the lips of the bunker more penal, even though they shouldn't be that penal on this golf course.
Number 15. This is when you cross the road. This is when it really gets good, this place.
Yeah. Again, the spot right here at 457, 4-shot shape, depending on the speed. We could try to drop back to 3-wood or mini driver. Most of the guys that are going to have that option probably hit their 3-wood, 300 total, because again, we're specifically saying it's playing fast. Otherwise, it's just driver regardless of shape. And again, another spot where it's just 67 yards from junk to junk. This one thing that's interesting just with proper strategy is, let's pretend that this fairway just hugged the right side of this completely. And most people will be like, oh, well, I'm going to aim at the left center of the fairway. Like they feel like they're playing smart by not aiming down the middle. You would just want to literally, if the fairway started right here, you would be wanting to aim at the exact left edge of the fairway. This is where I think good architecture would be, this fairway being shifted 7 or 8 yards one way or the other, to where maybe it's a little bit of an optical illusion and it forces you to play with a more aggressive line and wind up in the rough on bad, in the native areas on bad shots more than you otherwise would have. But then the second shot plays uphill, 457, we drop back to 3-wood. If we don't carry it in the fairway, let's say we carried it 270, now we're back there 180 or 90 in the rough to an uphill green. That's a really bad spot to be with no real layup either. We're laying it back to like 80 yards.
Interesting. All right, 18, bring us home.
This is the one that I really, really enjoy, honestly, because, again, you can see my original thing was 50 at 250. It's quite narrow. So the reason I thought this is potentially okay to begin with is because the hole is only 411. This, I assume they didn't put a further back tee box on. This would be a spot that maybe a little bit more length. But, what's interesting is then, because as I say that, just kind of talking out loud, then you remove all decision and guys just hit driver. It's like when the tour puts a Sunday pin really close to water, the guys are kind of forced to play smart, and everyone's capable of doing it once there's a water hazard in play. This one, there are some options. I mean, when Brooks won the PGA here, I believe he took a 2-shot lead from 17, and Faldo commented, well, we'll see if he can, play smart here and goes with the 2-iron with a 2-shot lead, or if he continues to play aggressive and hits driver. And it's like, well, A, he's leading the PGA. He's driving the ball well, almost by definition there for Brooks to be doing that. There's no reason to drop back on this hole, especially the fairway bunker lips aren't that big. So I would rather be in the fairway at 120 than the rough at 160. Good golf is good golf. It hit this thing straight away with your fade. Green second shot plays uphill a little bit, but nothing overwhelmingly interesting. This is a hole that maybe like 30 yards more distance might help, but I really hesitate even saying that, honestly. I'm trying to overthink it.
Yeah, overthink it. That's the theme. Don't do that. Don't overthink it.
Don't do that. Send it and send it again. Shape that driver one way and get really good at lag putting from 20 to 40 feet, man. That's the definition of great golf. And like I say, if we're theoretically optimizing decision-making using a tool like Decade, optimal is optimal. I mean, we don't just hit on 18 in blackjack because the dealer's showing 10, like, well, but I don't want to lose this hand. Well, the best way to not lose this hand is not to hit right here.
Also like tough shit. Like he's got a 10. He got to get good luck. Like,
Yeah, I mean, good luck. This is why the game is hard.
Understood. Well, thank you so much, Scott. I feel like we've got a better understanding of the golf course now, a better understanding of match play strategy, which is really just golf strategy.
I wish there was something more you could say about it, but it's just keep making optimal decisions over and over and over again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll have a fun time watching this weekend. Seems pretty simple.
Yeah.
Seems pretty simple. It's one of the things that people like, I think, about Tillinghast courses and about Bethpage Black is it's a test. There's nowhere to hide. There's no hacks. There's no really cutting corners. It's not like, we did that with Scott at Quill Hollow. It was like being able to hit it 310 yards in the air makes a huge difference here because you can cut those corners. The fairways get wider. Not the case at Bethpage Black.
Big dogs are going to run out of space on a lot of these fairways. And I think it's not like it's going to be some kind of like crazy U.S. Open test with the rough or anything. It's going to be more about the mental. It's going to be more about.
I hope they don't set it up super hard. I mean, this is truly 1 week where score does not matter at all. We want to see holes won with birdies. It's just kind of the way it goes.
Oh, man, I can't wait for the first tee.
I can't wait. The first tee is going to be electric. Okay. We wanted to try a new segment today. So Ben is going to put me to the test. You're going to test my memory a little bit. Mm-hmm. with something we're calling the random winner generator presented by Titleist. So Titleist has been the most played iron on the PGA Tour for 12 straight seasons. I have the T100s in my bag up until the 4-iron, and I have a T150. Oh, sorry, 21 of the last 22 seasons. So I have the T100s but the T150 in the 4-iron, which is what the Tour Pros are doing. 80% of Titleist Tour Pros are playing a blended set of multiple iron models, demonstrating the importance of custom fitting and optimization throughout the set. Most of the best players in the world reach a point in their set where they take advantage of a bigger chassis, which gives them more launch and peak height, more stability and forgiveness, better consistency, etc. If you're playing blades throughout the bag, probably, unless you're an aesthetic golfer like you a little bit, I feel like you're a little bit about aesthetics.
I wised up.
You wised up. It's probably not the move. I actually just got fit for Titleist irons. I'm hitting my irons unbelievably well. I got all my information. I'm hitting my irons unbelievably well. The new T-Series irons are specifically designed to be blended seamlessly across models, so you can dial in the optimal setup for your game on the fitting tee. There's just something clean about Titleist, man.
Even the blended set.
It's an incredible brand. It's just an incredible brand, and I feel very fortunate to have them in my bag. So Ben, tell the people exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to test your knowledge of who won this year on the PGA Tour.
Okay, and this should be an easy one for me.
Yeah.
We did watch-alongs all year. This is literally my life. I'll be embarrassed if I don't get these.
You've interviewed many of these gentlemen after their win. But I'm going to generate a random number. I won't go in order. It'll make it a little harder, and then I'll tell you a little bit about that win. So first up, I generated number 6, which on my list is the Rocket Don't Say Mortgage Classic. Who won the double?
Aldrich.
Yes.
Big Aldrich Potgieter. And he absolutely bludgeoned that course. He is a round mound of birdies.
The big dog Aldrich, and he plays a T252 iron.
Okay, so like a T252 iron. So that's a lot of help. So don't be an ego golfer and think that you don't need help down the bag, because he's the best players in the world. And when they get to the 2-iron, 3-iron, 4-iron, they need help. That's
right. I play also a T250U. So shout out to me and my boy. He also plays T150 4 and 5 irons and a T100 from 6 to 9 iron. So he's got a fully blended set there.
Blended set is in vogue for the right reasons.
Okay, next up is the Genesis Invitational here in our hometown.
It wasn't in our hometown. It was in...
Well, it is, though.
It is our hometown tournament, but it was won by Ludwig Oberg.
It was.
I remember he drove it on a string that week. I thought he was going to make a run at being number 1 player in the world. He started the year so strong. A couple weeks earlier, he was blowing chunks at Torrey Pines, and he got to go back not blowing chunks, and he won the tournament.
Well, he did so in the T100s from 4 to pitching wedge all the way through. So a T100 man.
Okay, if you swing it like Ludwig, you might not need a blended set.
Maybe you don't need.
But I don't think that you swing it like Ludwig if you're watching the show.
Yeah. I don't, you don't, we don't. The simplicity of that.
The collective we do not swing it like Ludwig.
I think about his swing a lot. Okay, this might be the harder one for you to guess. Who won the Barracuda this year?
Oh man, Barracuda. That's the middle of the night open, because it's right after the Open Championship, so I was asleep. It's because the Open finishes in the morning.
Yeah.
Scotty won. I don't know. I'm embarrassed.
I thought I might stump you with this one. It stumped me. Ryan Gerard won that.
Ryan Gerard, North Carolina's own. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry, Ryan. Wow, he's got a motorbike too.
Look at that. They gave him it's not a Titleist motorcycle, although it'd be pretty cool if it was.
It'd be a lot cooler if it was.
But no, Mr. Gerard, he plays the T200 4-iron as well as the T100s from 5 to 9. So blended boy. All right, next up on my list is number 8, the Wyndham Championship.
Cameron Young going away. That was one of the hardest watch-alongs that we did. That's when we were talking about sinking of the Lusitania, because Cameron Young was up by 8 shots most of the day. It was a big win in hindsight, because it was the start of his run to this Ryder Cup team. He was off the radar. He won the Wyndham. It dominated against a pretty strong field, because everyone who wasn't qualified for the playoffs was playing that week, and he was out in front the whole way. And then he kept it going through the playoffs, and now he's at Bethpage.
So this is a cool one. His 4-iron is also a T200. He's got a T100 5-iron. And then from 6 to 9, he's playing a 631.CY prototype, which I don't even know what that is.
Well, CY, I think it's Cameron Young. I think that's,
yeah. But like, what does that look like?
I don't know. He also played a new golf ball when he won. I remember that. That was a big thing. He changed golf balls, which is a pretty significant change. It's the only club and only piece of equipment that you hit every single time. And guess who's the number 1 ball in golf? Also, not just the number 1 irons.
You're damn right.
Titleist.
All right, let's wrap this up. I'm going to go with number 2 at the Cognizant Classic, the Palm Beaches.
Oh, Big Joe. Joe Highsmith won it with little Joe LaCava on the bag.
That's right.
He made the cut on the number and then got mega hot over the weekend. The lefty. I was going to say big lefty, but Joe is not a big. So just the lefty. Joe Highsmith won it. I remember
that was
one.
early in the season. We got the winner interview. He had the big hat on. There it is. It also.
I think you did this interview.
I did this interview.
You did this interview.
That's why.
Where was I? I was on a flight or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's awesome. And he was wearing the big Titleist floppy. He was also playing a T200 2-iron and T100s from 4 to 9 iron.
So everyone I think on that list except for Ludwig Oberg, who's literally a cyborg, who swings the golf club the way, you would. I think he's like the Ludwig AI Berg. That's what I'm going to call him. Ludwig AI Berg, because of how beautiful his golf and then the balance. But
all right, we got 3 more.
Oh, we have 3 more.
Yeah,
never mind.
Done.
I thought we were done.
Number 3. The Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Russ Henley.
Russ Henley, our boy in red.
Yeah, that was one of the first watch-alongs we did. That was when the TV coverage didn't do so hot, switching over to his chip-in. You remember that?
Yes.
It was like the ball was already in. You're like, what the heck just happened there? Yeah, but he leapfrogged Colin to win that tournament. I remember that. This guy hits the ball exactly where he's looking.
Listen, if you are trying to recreate a bag that a pro plays, it sounds like we have a trend here, because Mr. Henley plays a T200 4-iron and T100s from 5 to 9.
Russell Henley's actually a good model for people because he doesn't have 188 mile per hour ball speed. He's kind of having the high 160s. He's like the best club golfer in the world.
Yeah.
I really struggled to get that out, but you know what I was trying to say.
Well, he's headed to the People's Country Club this week, so I hope we get that out of him. Who won the RBC Heritage?
Justin Thomas.
He sure did. And he won with a T200 4-iron, a T100 5-iron, and then another prototype, the 621 JT prototype. I want to see these prototypes. Yeah. Ryan Brath, tell me about these things.
My new goal in life is to get a DR prototype.
A DR prototype?
It's a pretty lofty goal. It's not going to happen, but one can dream.
Furnished by our friends at Titleist.
Yeah.
All right, I saved the best for last. One of our favorite watches this year, the Valero Texas Open.
Oh, the worst watch of the year was Brian Harman. He won by 4. I think he shot 76 the final round. Another guy, though, that, you can model your game after a little bit because, he doesn't hit it like John Rahm.
It's true. Interesting. He plays a U500 4 and 5 iron, so a utility. That's that wide.
Oh, he's got the old man bag to go with the old man game.
That's right. And then a T100 6 iron and 620 CBs, the OGs, 7 to pitching with. So he's playing the old cavity back Titleist irons, which respect.
Whatever works. Brian Harman is a major champion. Brian Harman's played in Ryder Cups before. Don't have an ego with your golf clubs.
And Dan, I added this late last night. The control room's not aware of this, but I got a bonus question for you.
I'm ready for it.
So you know who won on the DP World Tour this week? Michael Kim. And you know that Michael Kim plays with a GT2 driver. Can you tell me, in that same tournament that he won, how many of the top 5 players play a GT driver?
4.
You are correct.
Hey!
4. And they swept 1 through 4 in that tournament as well. So big week for Titleist.
I'm in the GT driver.
I am too, GT3.
I've never driven it any better. So shout out to Titleist. Really the cleanest brand in the game. We're big Titleist fans here, and they've had tremendous success on tour. Yet again, 21 of the last 22 seasons, the most played iron on tour. All right, let's jump 2 feet back in to the Ryder Cup conversation. We are going to bring on our resident Brit, Luke Kerr Dineen. Luke, joining us live on the line. Luke, I wanted to before we start, I'm going to cut you off right away because you talk shit. You talked a little shit last week. You said we can talk about United if you want. I'm just wondering if you caught the game on Saturday.
Don't make me talk about our disastrous goalkeeper situation, our mess of a back line.
So Luke's a big Chelsea fan, and United beat Chelsea 2-1 on Saturday. It was a big win for us.
Gotcha. Yeah, you needed that.
I was so excited to come on this with a Chelsea victory to boast about, and I don't have it. So
yeah, those boys in red had something to say about that, didn't they? Okay. We're going to do 2 things in the segment. We're going to make our picks for the opening sessions. We're going to pick our 4 pairings. So it's morning foursomes. So it's alternate shot in the morning, which I think some people were maybe a little surprised by because historically the Europeans have dominated that format. Was it foursomes? It was foursomes last time first, and they went 4-0. Europe went 4-0, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay. Yeah.
So we're gonna all go first. We're gonna trot out our teams. We're gonna see how accurate we are. Now there are starting to be some reports about these practice pods, but Luke and I, we have integrity. We made these picks before we saw any of that information. So we're gonna stick with our team. I'm gonna go first. The first team that I'm going to send out is Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley. These two were a menace in Canada We've got the best player in the world in our team. It's Scotty Scheffler, and we've got the guy who hits it right where he's looking, Russell Henley. This guy's going to be a dog this week. He's going to play with more emotion than we normally see. I think it's really important for the U.S. to get off to a good start. I fully expect Scotty Scheffler to play all 5, and I would send him out first. Best player in the world. Let's get some points on the board. Let's get the crowd going early.
Yeah, this pick is kind of my Hal Sutton of Europe pick. It's something that I want to see happen. And the pairing I really want to see happen is Ludwig and Rory playing with each other. Because those two guys are generational talents when it comes to driving the golf ball. Fits like a glove into what Bethpage Black is. And this is just something that I want to see happen. This is like two incredible drivers. I think like them playing an alternate shot would just be... It'd just be a fascinating little experiment to put two of the best drivers of their generation in the same group. He's
referencing to Hal Sutton putting Tiger and Phil together, which led to the most incredible clip. I don't know if this is a little, you're not, we talked about you didn't win Ball Knower of the Year. You were third place in Ball Knower of the Year, but Phil had just changed golf balls. And it was right before the Ryder Cup, which if someone did that today, they would be skewered on the internet. But that just goes to show like it wasn't as serious business back then. And Phil was hitting it all over the place. And there's this clip of Phil hitting a tee shot, and the camera pans to Tiger, and he goes, like, where did he just hit that? So we'll see if it happens. Okay, my second team is Team Content. Bryson DeChambeau and Ben Griffin.
Yes.
We've got the YouTube star. We've got the TikTok star. And we've talked about this a little bit earlier, this month. Where does Ben Griffin rank among the Americans that you have most confidence in? It's pretty high on that list. Ben Griffin is probably the most, I would say, unexpected player at Bethpage, maybe him or JJ Spawn. But at the beginning of the year, a guy who wouldn't have been in your top 20, but just played so well throughout the whole year that really gave Keegan Bradley no choice but to pick him. And I think he gives Keegan Bradley no choice but to play him, I think, 4 times. I mean, I think he's really been that good and that consistent. These two guys both drive the piss out of it. And again, I just think getting Bryson out there early, the crowd is going to be insane on Bryson's side. I think these two can make a lot of birdies.
My second group is going to be Hovland and Fleetwood. Now, these are two guys
they're so good. Their team is just so good.
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah, and here's a stat. These are both guys who rank in the top 10, I believe in the top 5, actually, of strokes gained approach. So again, like, I was looking through like where the par 3s are, the odds or evens, where are the par 5s. They're pretty even split. So I think that's what's sort of informing both my pairings, that you could pair two similar elite players together and there's not going to be a huge downside to it. You just have two really awesome iron players together. And of course, Fleetwood being kind of the emotional leader of the European team in many ways. Again, another pairing I'd love to see happen and kind of makes sense, I think, from a statistical point.
I think it could be a huge week for Tommy. I mean, he has a different energy in Ryder Cups than he has at PGA Tour events in the past, and now he has gotten that monkey off the back with the PGA Tour win, so he's playing with house money. My third pairing, got to throw him out there, Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, Team Southern California. I saw Patty was wearing a hat in the warm-up today, which is positive start. Positive start. Good to see the hats on all the guys. They're close friends. For all the shtick that we might give Cantlay, he has the deep respect of his peers and of his captains. He comes up, Ben, more often in conversation than maybe any other tour player, because guys always use him as the example of, like when I was talking to Sahith, and Sahith had this incredible year and then he drops off and he's outside the top 50. He's like, a guy like Cantlay, you talk about how he's had a terrible year. He's still at the Ryder Cup. He's still, in the top, making the East Lake. And I think Cantlay was probably the U.S.'s best player at the President's Cup last year. He was amazing. And I think that Hatgate stuff really gave him kind of a little bit of juice in these team competitions. And he's our guy this week. So I'm going with Schauffele and Cantlay.
And this would be a great little matchup with who I'm about to trot out, which is Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. So these are obviously guys who've played together before. They play together all the time on Live. But this is just one of these pairings that just makes sense from a personality perspective, from a statistical perspective. Again, like everything here fits. It clips into place perfectly. It would be a fantastic match against Schauffele and Cantlay. And again, this is just like don't overthink it pairing. These guys like each other. They fantastic players. They play well with each other, and they've just kind of got this big bruising persona when they do walk onto that tee that just a little intimidating, I think, to anybody standing on the
high explosion potential. High explosion potential, I think, with that pairing and with the crowd. You know what I mean? Those are two guys who are not afraid to let their feelings known when they're out there on the golf course. And I think, you know, you make a little noise. John Rahm doesn't like drones in his backswing. He's going to hear a lot worse than drones this week. My last is another Team California. It's kind of the second Team California. I'm going Colin Morikawa and JJ Spawn. I think Colin's a really valuable player in alternate shot because he doesn't really hit wild shots. He does not hit wild shots, and Spawn is a great putter where Morikawa kind of lacks at times. So I get JJ in there. I think he's going to be a guy that the Bethpage Black Faithful really adopt as their own. He's the furthest thing from a country club kid. You know, he's got kind of the skater aesthetic. He's the reigning United States Open champion, won the United States Open at Oakmont, only guy under par. Had a really good week at Napa. He was up there all week. He's playing really well. It's going to be his first Ryder Cup. You got to dip your feet wet. You got to get your feet wet at some point. So I'm throwing him in there in the first session.
My fourth pairing is Bobby Mack and Justin Rose.
No fits. I'm very interested by no fits with how well he's playing and how, you know, that's interesting to me.
Definitely an ace in the hole we have with fits. And of course, Lowry's on the bench too, one of the best ball strikers in golf this season. But there's just some kind of weird alchemy that happens when you put these two together. Justin Rose starts making every single putt he looks at. Bobby Mack, he was hitting it sideways early in the week in Rome, and he was unbeaten. He was one of the top point scorers, won his singles match. It's just, I can't explain it. Something maybe to do with the English-Scottish pairing. There's just some magic that evolves from these. I think it's going to flurry up again at Bethpage.
Yeah, Team UK. Team UK there. I like it. Okay, so now we've got our pairings. Now we're going to go, we each have 5 reasons why each team is going to win. Luke is going, well, he has 5 reasons why the Europeans are going to win. I have 5 reasons why the Americans are going to win. We're going to start with Luke's first reason.
So I kind of alluded to it the last time I came on here, Dan, but Rory really wants this one.
Yes, he does.
For better or worse, Rory is just a momentum guy, right? Like he phases in and he phases out and he rides these highs and then he kind of lulls in. It's kind of what charms us about Rory, and it's just part of who he is. And part of who he is right now is really wanting the Ryder Cup. He wants it maybe more than anything else now that he has a green jacket in his pocket. And this is just something that is just going to level him up, I think. You know, these elite players, they need a challenge to rise to, especially a guy like Rory. I think this is that challenge. I think we're going to see something really special from Rory at Bethpage.
I think we're going to see a maniacal energy out of Rory, and I see that, I mean that in a positive way. And I think back to a conversation I had with him a couple weeks ago that he put on the record with you and Murray, where he said, you know, I struggle sometimes week to week. And I said that on the show. We talked about how, you know, he looks at Scotty going to Napa, turning up to Napa, winning the golf tournament, you know, turning up to RBC Heritage the week after the Masters, winning the golf tournament. That's not Rory. He's not going to do it every single week. He's accomplished everything that he's wanted to accomplish in the game. But what did he say immediately after winning the Masters? He said, there were 2 things that I'm looking forward to this year. He said, I'm looking forward to Royal Portrush and getting back home and playing an Open Championship and not hitting 2 out of bounds on the first hole. And he finished in the top 10, I don't know, somewhere around there. He had a great week. And he was looking forward to a road Ryder Cup. He said, I think the hardest thing to do in golf right now is to win a road Ryder Cup. I think we're going to see a Rory this week. I don't want to say he's been going through the motions since the Masters, but he's almost sort of maybe been going through the motions since the Masters. I think we're going to see a highly motivated Rory. My first reason is the home field advantage. It's just the Ryder Cup has become home team hold serve, right? I know that the Europeans have managed to win on American soil more recently than the Americans won over there. But I just think this crowd is going to be something else, man. I think, you know, the European team, if this was played in Australia, if this was played in Asia, and honestly, if it was played somewhere that wasn't New York, I might think that Europe was going to win. But I just think that this crowd is going to be the difference.
It's a good little segue into my second point, Dan, is that there is just simply too much expectation of American team. You realize what a disaster this would be for America if America doesn't win?
He's going reverse psychology.
Everything is lining up. There's so much expectation being lathered on. Oh, the crowd, Bethpage, they want to win this one back. Home field advantage over and over and over. We hear reasons why America should win this Ryder Cup. And at a certain point, it just becomes this thing that you're kind of afraid to lose. Because all we've been hearing about is reasons why America should win. And this is the ultimate underdog tactic that Europe, or underdog situation that Europe is walking into. And I think that's really going to play into their hand.
My second reason is we got the best player. We have the best player. And that, I'm going to say it again, we have the best player. He plays on our team. He's born in New Jersey, raised in Texas. He's big, hairy American winning machine. He won his last tournament. He's finished tied for 8th or better in the last 27,000 tournaments. He's different gravy, and we know how much it means to him to wear the red, white, and blue. We saw him break down in tears in Paris after winning the Olympic gold. We saw him break down in tears in Italy after he and Brooks Koepka were annihilated 9-7 by Victor and Ludwig. And I just think he's got an opportunity this week to elevate himself even further in the game. I think he's going to play all 5. I fully expect him to be the best player there, to win 4 points, I would say, out of 5. I just think having the best player, having a guy who can go out there every single format, who can go out first in singles, I think it's a big mental advantage.
Fair enough. You kind of alluded to it earlier, but when it comes to the crowd, everything I've heard since the moment Bethpage was announced as a Ryder Cup venue was that this crowd is going to be insane. It's going to be insane. Oh my gosh, this crowd's going to be insane. It's going to be carnage. Every time the Ryder Cup has been brought up to a European player, that's the first thing people talk about. Oh, the crowd's going to be out of control. I think as a result, this is kind of going to be the one time where European fans walk into a cauldron and not really be surprised that it's bubbling, for lack of a better word. Like, they have been expecting this. Like, this is the only thing everybody's been talking about anytime we bring up Bethpage in a Ryder Cup context. Usually, I always feel like the away team always gets a little rattled when crowds are in their face and cheering when they miss putts, because it's just something they're not used to. These guys, they may not be used to it, but they will be expecting the crowd to be doing that. And who knows, maybe it might not even live up to their incredibly high expectations.
Yeah, it almost feels like if someone doesn't like yell shank in someone's backswing, it's going to be like, oh, they were actually, they were actually pretty respectful. All right, my next reason is the numbers are on our side very, very slightly. So Data Golf, if you're not a subscriber to Data Golf, I don't know what you're doing in golf these days, but its model projects Team USA to be 0.33 strokes better per round per player. So 0.13 strokes better per round off the tee, 0.08 strokes better per round on approach, 0.05 strokes per round around the green, 0.07 strokes better per round putting. Now, those are all minuscule advantages, but they add up. They add up, and on paper, we do have the better side. So, I think there's so much that goes into the forecasts of these Ryder Cups and the strategy behind it, but at the end of the day, the players win or lose the Ryder Cups. And even though this European team is about as probably almost exactly what Luke Donald would have wanted, I still think the Americans, ceteris paribus, which is a word from my economic 101, it means all other things equal, ceteris paribus, the Americans are slightly better on paper.
Yes, but there's an intangible side to this, Dan. And that intangible side is the continuity factor that the European team has. 11 of the 12 players are the same players that won in Rome, and the one different player was the twin brother of the guy who won.
Same fertilized eggs, same 12 fertilized eggs.
Same 12 fertilized eggs, exactly. We all kind of know this intuitively. You start a new job or you move into a new house or whatever it is. There's always a bit of a learning curve. You're always just kind of taking a little bit of time just to get comfortable with what's new. There's not really going to be this situation for the European team. They're the same captain, 11 of the 12 guys the same. The other guy was a vice captain last time. They kind of know the drill. They're going to be ready for this. And I think that may be worth an extra half a point or so.
My fourth reason is I'm seeing a little bit of a wobble from the bottom half of your lineup. I'm talking about Nicolai Højgaard, who did not make the FedEx Cup playoffs. Do you know how many top 10s Nicolai Højgaard had on his own ball on the PGA Tour this year?
Hit me.
Zero. Shane Lowry has not played well the second half of the year. Sepp Straka has not played well recently. I think if you offered Luke Donald a chance to switch out Højgaard for Alex Noren, he would take it. So I think we're deeper, Luke. I think right now we're a little bit deeper. Now that's stroke play. These events, that they were all playing in were a couple weeks ago. It's hard to extrapolate, but I think there's a little bit more firepower from the bottom half of the American team.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at the wrong half of the team,
Fair.
Dan. Like, here's a good start. The Europeans have 5 different players who are either in the top 10 of strokes gained driving or strokes gained approach. That's almost half the team. Then that gives them incredible.
So you think they're gonna lean pretty heavily on the top 8? You think like Højgaard will play one match? You think they're gonna hide some guys?
I think so. I think that's generally the new system that Europe has kind of been developing. I think part of this is because there used to be a whole like, oh, European players have a distinct style of play, it doesn't fit American courses. That's just not really true anymore, right? The course in many ways really fits the European team really well. When you drive the ball like Rory or Ludwig, there's not an American course that doesn't fit you well. We're not talking about Colin Montgomery or Paul McGinley.
It is an interesting point, right? Like it used to be, you know, if you go back even 10 years, but especially 20, 30 years, you know, you'd have a lot of guys on the European team who play primarily on the DP World Tour on those golf courses, which are set up very different. They get to a big American course and they're just not ready for it. All these guys play in America. Only one of them can't finish in the top 10, but all these guys play in America, so they're going to be used to it.
Right. There's not a golf course on the planet that doesn't suit an iron player like Tommy Fleetwood, right? Like it's just a different thing now. It's a different generation. And the course isn't this huge mismatch like it may have been 10, 15, even 20 years ago.
Right. I think they've made some changes to how they set it up too, where it's a little bit less like the Americans can't just cut a tree down that they want to cut down. Like I think back to Hazeltine when they were just like, there was all this rough short of the bunkers because we had like a bunch of JB Holmes on our teams and then there was no rough over the bunkers. It was like, if you can carry this bunker, you're fine. It's not like that anymore. There's not a huge statistical discrepancy. All right, my last reason is the same as my first reason, the home field advantage. I said it twice because I think it's going to be the difference this week. I don't say I want this to happen, but I have a premonition. Golf is a very unique sport where I can get as close to the players as I am to Ben right now when they're playing, and there's an expectation of silence, right? If I pay $10,000, I can go sit courtside at an NBA game. But, you know, if a guy's taking a 3 to win the game, he's expecting me to be yelling at him. That's not the case in golf. We could see this sort of frontier crossed. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but I think something might happen to alter the integrity of the competition. I hope it doesn't, because it would lead to a lot of think pieces. And I don't like think pieces. But I do think that there is a chance that not just the home field advantage giving our guys vibes, but some idiot actually like saying something at the wrong time, or there being some sort of, you know, altercation or something's going to happen that's going to unsettle the Europeans. I'll put it that way. I hope not.
If that does happen,
I hope
that puts the US team in a weird spot because suddenly now Keegan Bradley's going to have to go on defense with his own crowd. You know, like this, I think that there's always like other sides of the coin with this stuff and unintended consequences. I hope it doesn't happen, but it'd be kind of fascinating if it does.
So are you staying at home this week? You live in New York, or are you going to stay out on the island?
I'm going out tomorrow. That's my first day on site. So I'm going to see you out there, right?
100%. Ben and I are getting on a plane. We're actually sitting next to each other. Ben is 3rd on the upgrade list, and I'm 15th.
17th.
17th. Fuck you, by the way. That was unnecessary.
Well, you brought it up.
I did bring it up. We talk a lot of shit about our respective airline status, and Ben is just dunking all over me today.
I worked hard.
I feel like you're excited about sitting next to me. I'm not looking forward to it. Because let me tell you why. I don't like to talk to people on airplanes. I don't know if you agree, Luke.
Well, me either. Let's just agree that we won't talk to each other.
Let me finish. I don't like to talk to people on airplanes. So if I can't hold your hand for oxytocin like I do with my wife, I don't want you to sit next to me.
You can hold my hand.
There's a weird level of expectation that comes with.
And it's a 5-hour flight. It's a 5-hour flight. Like I'm not trying to read my Genghis Khan book. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to talk to you, Ben.
I got work to do, guys. So don't worry about me.
Let me get the headphones on and tune you out for a second. I'm not really in a chatting mood.
I'm really looking forward to seeing you this week, Luke.
Yeah, me too, Dan. You'll wear your big bald eagle thing, and I'll wear my European T-set.
Sounds good, my friend. I'll see you soon.
See you later. All
right, our dog of the week this week is Jeg Coughlin III.
Tell me who that is.
Jeg Coughlin III was the runner-up in the U.S. Mid-Am. But he was the low actual amateur. He was the low amateur who wasn't at one point a professional golfer. And Jeggy, as I know him, I actually have a little bit of history with him. So his ex-stepdad is like one of my closest family friends. So I've known about Jeggy for a long time. Played college golf at Ohio State. And he's part of the Lads Golf. He does it with Jason Day and with Ryan Ruffles. Yeah, Ryan Ruffles came out and played in the TZ Invitational, a charity event. Jason Day is a friend of the program. Jeggy is a staple on their channel, and what a run to the finals of the U.S. Mid-Am. I have a ton of respect. His dog mentality to play against a bunch of former pros and almost come out on the other side. It's also brutal because you get to the final of the USAM and you're in the Masters no matter what. Not true with the U.S. Mid-Am. The runner-up is not going to get into the Masters, so it doesn't get into the U.S. Open either. So I think he probably gets into like the next couple of USAMs. but just coming up a little bit short on the mid-am stuff. But I just wanted to give him a shout out because I just wanted to talk again about how I feel like that shouldn't be the case.
He deserves his flowers.
He deserves his flowers. He was the low actual mid-am in the mid-am, the low non-professional in the U.S. mid-am, and it should not be a tournament for former professionals. So our dog of the week is Jeggy, as I know him, Ohio's own, from Dublin, Ohio. I like to see Dublin, Ohio up there. It's a place after my own heart. Been there many, many times for the Memorial Tournament. And yeah, Jeggy's our dog of the week.
How do we get him an exemption? Let's
get him some.
Make that call.
Yeah, get him some. You know, he was the low actual amateur in the U.S. Mid-Am. That
Jason,
has to
make a few calls.
That has to be for Jason, or maybe you know what Jason Day should do. I'm gonna look at this camera. Jason, you should play with him in the Zurich. Play with him in the Zurich. Play with him in the Zurich. You get to choose your partner for the Zurich. He's obviously an incredible player. It was a good match. He lost, I think it was a 36-hole final. I think he lost on like the 34th hole to an eagle on the last hole. So he's obviously playing great golf. The lads golf. Let's get a lads team in the Zurich Classic. Jason Day and Jeggy. Much love to Ryan Reynolds. Much love to Ryan Ruffles, but the lads team I want to see in the Zurich.
Yeah, we got to give him something.
Is Jay Day and Ruffles. He deserves it because I'm not going to say that he had his mid-am title stolen.
But you're not knocking us.
I'm going to hit the honesty button again. It's not my U.S. mid-am. You know, I said not my president back in the day.
Yeah.
It's not my U.S. mid-am.
I remember that.
It's not my U.S. mid-am. This is my guy, though, the guy who's coming up next. Rick Gehman. Back with us. We're going to see him this week. Hopefully he's going to hop on. We're going to do some live shows, by the way. We're doing a show on Thursday. We're going to do a show on Friday. We're going to do a show on Saturday. Well, your hair is looking fantastic. Your teeth are looking fantastic. I got to say, the lighting is just fantastic. I'm saying fantastic a lot.
He's no Ludwig Oberg, but you know, he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, remember when we just did the Ludwig Oberg's hot thing for the first like 3 weeks of the year? And I was like, are we just going to talk about how good looking this guy is for the rest of the time? And
he didn't live up to
He didn't live up to it. Anyways, it's a tough week, Rick, for you, because this is so different. How do you approach this week?
Yeah, so this is very much a sprint as opposed to a marathon, right? If you think about this, we normally handicap events on over 72 holes for the most part. If you're playing a match, it might last 18 holes, and your golfer might hit half of the shots, right? If we're playing in alternate shots. So it's really just much more of a sprint. I like to embrace a little bit of the volatility, and there are a lot of options as we go on, Dan. So we're going to do this right now. We're going to look at things that are event long, but I mean, we're going to get 8 matches on Friday, 8 matches on Saturday, 12 matches on Sunday. So there is just a lot of opportunity here. But for the most part, I'm pretty much embracing chaos and volatility.
So you're going to check out Rick Run Good all week long because and stuff that he's going to have some content on Scratch because, like you said, we can make picks right now for all tournament long. We don't know what the matchups are going to be, and matchups are it's a fun matchups are a fun way to bet on golf in a normal tournament. They're even more fun when the guys are actually playing against each other and it really matters. So before we hop into your overall sort of or your specific picks, what's your overall feeling? Like, what's the narrative that you're going by? What's going to happen this week?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be pretty tight. I think that the course setup, and you guys talked about this a little bit earlier about the way that courses have been historically set up versus the way that courses can be set up this time around. I think that for the upper portion of the European squad, like Bethpage Black might be better for them than it is for the United States boys. I think the thing that I'm valuing the most, and I don't know how others are going to value this in their models or their metrics or their power rankings or whatever it is, I really value the cohesion of this European team. I just heard LKD talk about this a little bit. This is unheard of. It's unheard of to have a captain running it back. This is the first time that Europe's done this, back-to-back Ryder Cup captains in 30 years. We've got 11 of the same 12 players, basically every single vice captain. I think that's incredibly valuable. So you'll see, I don't want to spoil the picks, but you'll see that I've valued that very highly in my selections.
Euro Rick. Okay, let's start with your top American.
Yeah, it's actually top American wild card. So I've narrowed this down a little bit here. And this is the group of Cam Young, Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Ben Griffin, Sam Burns, and Colin Morikawa, guys that Keegan Bradley selected. And for me, it's Cam Young. He's playing great golf. He's plus 360. He is, I think, outside of Scotty Scheffler, he might be like the best just adjusted course fit for Bethpage Black. He hits it long. He hits it straight enough, and you are going to miss a ton of greens. You're going to miss a ton of fairways. He'll be able to extract it with club head speed. He's got very good hands. on and around the putting surfaces. I think this is a really good number. I think he's going to be heavily involved. I saw you guys going through your groups of who might go out in the first session. I think there's a really good chance that Cam Young plays a lot of golf this week, and at plus 360, I just couldn't pass that.
I mean, it's also, what a moment for a kid from the Bronx.
Just a kid from the Bronx.
To be able to play the Ryder Cup in his home state. Okay, your next one, top European.
No, they've got like point marks here. So this is Victor Hovland to earn 2 or more points at minus 110.
Okay.
There's a lot happening here. Victor's playing some of the better golf of his year right now. Team matches and team events, he's been very good. He played 5 sessions in Rome. He and Rory McIlroy were the only 2 that did that. He's probably got a really solid pairing with Ludwig Åberg, but you can put him in a bunch of different matches. The thing I like about Victor, and this is the chaos portion, Dan, Victor's going to take on every single flag. He's going to try to hit every single hero shot in a small sample. Like if he can pull off 3 of those shots, you can win a match that way. There is a huge value into hitting like a 99th percentile shot and not a huge problem if you hit like a 20th percentile shot. So I think his ability to hit the best shot of the day,
hit a 4-iron to kick in range.
Correct. Is like super valuable. It's how you steal holes. It's how you earn points.
All right, your next one.
I am so high on JJ Spawn. JJ Spawn, 2 or more points. So this is actually plus 110. Victor Hovland was minus 110. JJ Spawn was second in points in this. He won the U.S. Open at Oakmont, which is a course that on paper should not be very good for him. But this is a golf course that on paper should not be very good for him. I don't know. He's like 20-1 to be the top American point scorer. Only Harris English has longer odds. There is massive disrespect coming out on JJ Spawn, who has done nothing but play with Russell Henley and Scotty Scheffler in practice rounds in Napa. They're gonna run this guy out with Scotty at some point. I don't know. I think JJ Spawn is set for a really, really good week, and 2 or more points at plus 110 has my full attention.
These are fun, these like guys to win certain points, because you can also like draft off the other guy they're going to play with. So like with Rick saying like, if he gets Scotty, then you might get a free point. All right, your 4th one.
Right. This is fun. I have not seen these offered before. So this is to finish inside the top 3 of European points. Okay, so top 3 out of 12. Tommy Fleetwood at plus 115. The way the Europeans work, and I think LKD was mentioning it as well. Like they're going to rely on their best guys. They're going to run Rory out there 5 times. They're probably going to run Jon Rahm out there 5 times. They're probably going to run Tommy Fleetwood out there 5 times. So you get a lot of opportunity here. I don't need to remind everybody that he won the Tour Championship. If you're watching this show, you're fully aware of that, and you get him in a lot of big spots. You get him in a lot of high pressure situations in these team matches, and he's done nothing but succeed recently. So he just has to finish inside the top 3 of his own team's point scorers to win us this one.
And I'm looking at Data Golf. He is the number 3 player in the world according to Data Golf. So that would not
been fantastic.
Not be a surprise. All right, your last one. I hope it's the overall winner.
It is the overall winner, and it is it's Team Europe.
Oh my gosh, Rick, you've done it.
I will tell you, Dan. I bet this like 6 months ago. Okay. I have been, and I've never been happier about it. I'm happier about it now than I was 6 months ago. We talked about the cohesion. The guys at the top of this European team are fantastic. I know they're going to run into a Scotty buzzsaw. I worry about the juice that the United States brings. I mean, Rome they were just walking the plank out there. Absolutely no juice. Who's their emotional leader? Is it Bryson? Do the guys even like Bryson? Like, I think there are also, we didn't even mention this. Both have been very good, but Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele are like absolutely objectively coming in the worst form.
Well, Xander didn't even make the Tour Championships. Crazy.
Yeah, and now he's got a new baby at home, and like, how does that impact things? So I don't think that team is as solid as it has been in the past, and it's just too much stuff that you add up. You get the number at plus 150. I think Europe steals this thing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I can't believe you did. Are you rooting for Europe now?
I don't really care. Money's green, buddy. Yeah. I mean, listen, like we can cash a lot of these. We can win a lot of matchups. I just want something fun.
Money's not red. Money's not blue. Money is green. Rick, you're a legend. We'll see you later this week, my friend.
All right, guys, take care.
See you, Rick.
All right, we're going to hop into chirps from the gallery. Our first one, KPMG. it's good to work at a company that loves golf. KPMG is one of these companies. So I think Alex Bush sent this in. One of his buddies is at a like a KPMG training situation, and they just have replicas of very famous golf courses at wherever they're doing their training. So this is a putting course, but you've got, it looks like Bethpage Black on the right with bunkers right and bunkers left.
An Amen corner on the left.
Yeah, pretty damn sweet. That looks unreal. Like 13 at Augusta over there on the left. Good call.
Level.
That is a nice. That's. I have Rappaport Golf Club. We might have to upgrade it.
There, yeah.
We might have to upgrade it after seeing this. Okay, cool. This got a ton of attention. One region to play golf in for the rest of your life. So you've got all of these regions kind of joining at the border of Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Iowa. And there's a bunch of different regions, and you got to choose one. Ben, what would you choose?
I thought about this. I've gone all the way around the board. It's D. It's got to be D.
D. You're going southeast. You don't mind. The heat is okay for you.
I think you get the all year round weather, right? Like even during the winter, it's kind of nice fall golf weather down there. You get most of Florida. You get Augusta National Golf Club, correct?
Yes.
I think that in and of itself is kind of like the Scotty Scheffler.
Right, because that's what it says is from VJ's burner, make that VJ sing, is the guy who posted it. He said unlimited budget and access, so you can play Augusta as many times as you want.
Correct. I'm also assuming that a lot of my friends, i.e. you, are going to pick other regions that I can go be a guest at. So I would guess yours, but I'll let you.
Well, a lot of people especially in the Pro Shop chat, were saying C because you get you don't get Chicago because that's in B, but you get New York, you get all of Pennsylvania, you get Long Island, you get New Jersey, so you get Pine Valley, you go all the way down, you get to all the DC courses, you get like Congressional. I'm going with
in January.
I'm going with H because I don't. Number C means I have to like live in number C area, and I don't want to. I'm not a Northeast guy, and also I get all of California except for I don't get the I don't get to play Tijuana Country Club, but other than that, like you get all of California, so you get Riviera, you get LACC. You get the San Francisco courses, you get San Francisco Golf Club, you get Olympic Club, you've got Pebble Beach, you've got Monterey Peninsula, you've got Cypress, you've also got Colorado, you've got like a lot of Vail, you've got the Aspen area, Denver, you get the whole state of Utah. I love mountain golf. It's beautiful. I think I'm going to the mountains next weekend to play a little mountain golf. I'm a California guy, I'm a West Coast guy. You get Vegas, so I can play Shadow Creek and just live that baller life,
I think we can make this work for both of us in a DH environment where we're passing back and forth guests and stuff.
My middle name is Harry, so DHR. I think DH is written in the stars.
What's also interesting is someone at our company pointed out if you were to extend these lines globally, would you still choose the same one? I mean, I might switch to C in that case, and because that would pick up Ireland and Scotland.
You think it's pointing north enough? You don't think you have to go B to get there?
I don't know. It'd be tough to look at on a globe in a flat Earth world.
Yeah,
I think you would get all of the historic golf.
I'm going with H. I'm a California guy. I'm a mountain golf guy, but I understand why anyone would go.
You pick up Hawaii and Japan and Korea if you know what I mean. Like you might get some Southeast Asia.
There's a lot of options, but this was taking over golf Twitter. It's nice to see a good golf Twitter moment. Okay, the Korn Ferry Tour was played at Ohio State Scarlet course, I think, this year, and Neil Shipley went to Ohio State, and he had a lot of local support this week. Let's look at these pictures of the Neil Shipley fan club. Look at them with the hair. He missed the cut.
The Shipley Shack.
He missed the cut, but he had the Shipley Shack. You could see my hair when I played golf with Neil Shipley, when I caddied for Neil Shipley. The amount of work that went into finding that Waffle House visor, Ryan Stone can tell you. I think he drove to like every Waffle House between where he lives and where we were, in between Jacksonville and
just asked,
and he finally got one. Speaking of my hair, people have had takes. Look at the first one. This is some guy put dreadlocks on me and said Bermuda Championship. All right, and I'm not going to say that word because I asked ChatGPT what that word means. It's a derogatory word.
Oh, really?
It's a nasty word. This week we're coming to you live, and it's me in dreadlocks. People have had a lot of thoughts on my hair.
Look at your face. They AI. That's like not.
No. He went in. Scotty Holdridge took time out of his day to type.
He asked
put Dan Rappaport in dreadlocks, and I thought it was pretty funny. It wasn't the only thought that people had on my hair. There was a comparison to Jonah Hill.
Oh.
Jonah Hill went to Brentwood, the school I went to for a couple of years before he was no longer welcomed. So we do have that in common.
Jonah Hill is a fashion god, so take that as.
So there you go. It did look a little Jonah Hill. I buzzed it. It was super, super blonde. Basically, I did it because I was going to Mexico with my wife and I was bored. And it just blows my mind that people have that. This tweet got like 5,000 like likes and a lot of really nasty
You're
comments.
back to like D Balvin now.
I'm back to D Balvin now, where it's a little bit like I tried to shave it off. I thought it was all going to come off, but turns out your hair doesn't.
You
grow
kind of have
that
a
fast.
tiger. Remember he did like the cheetah thing? You got that going on.
Yeah, I got a little tiger frosted tips going. Speaking of Jonah Hill, this is more just speaking of Hollywood. Did you watch Adolescence yet?
I watched part of it. My wife finished it.
I watched it. I was disappointed. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I'm getting old because it was sort of like, for me, it was just like tragedy porn.
Oh, I know what happens at the end.
Well,
so like, you know
what happens from the first episode. So I thought it was going to be like a little bit of a murder mystery of like what happens. It's not that. It's basically just like really well acted, but also just like I think I'd rather shave my pubic hair with a cheese grater than watch that again.
Okay, I don't know. I can watch literally anything.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, I don't understand these Hollywood things that people, and I watched a movie last night, Caught Stealing. Have you heard about that with Austin Butler? There's another one that's like good, but it's also just like really gory and everyone died. I'm getting old where I think I want rom-coms.
Go watch Black Rabbit.
I want something really easy. Go watch what?
Black Rabbit. It's not easy. It's dark, but it's like Jason Bateman, Ozark meets.
I think I might be out on dark. I think I'm just getting old. I think I get enough shit on, in my personal life that I want to watch people fall in love.
You know, the K-pop Demon Slayer anime.
I heard that's good.
That's sick. You should watch that.
Okay, that's a little lighter?
Yeah, I mean, there's like fighting and killing,
but it's
like
demons.
Yeah,
it's not like, Adolescence was like.
There's lots of good music.
There's only 4 episodes of Adolescence, and the 4th episode was just like their life is ruined.
I think that's why I didn't keep watching it. Like, this is just sad.
It's just sad. That's what I don't understand when, I guess I do understand, but it's like, it feels like a lot of good Hollywood stuff that's like really cinephile stuff is just like, you kind of feel like ass walking out. And that's not what I'm looking for. Total tangent there. Michael Kim was popping the champagne. I saw this on my list. I got the W in France, but what am I to do with 3+ bottles of champagne? Drink them.
Yes.
Drink them.
Call some
Michael.
people.
There he is.
There you go.
Update, he's drinking them. That's what you should do. You go over to France, you win a tournament, you drink there. Give me your Chateau Lafitte's 1990. You know what I mean? Give me some of that fancy wine. Bethpage Grandstand. I think do we have a walk-in here or something, Andy? Yeah, look at this. So first tee vibes.
Baby. Yeah.
Look at where that tee is. It's so far over. That thing is going to be rocking come 6:30 on Friday. They built a whole city around.
They took the sign down, the warning sign, too. Did you see that?
Well, these are the best players in the world. They don't need the warning.
Yeah, they don't need one.
They don't need the warning. All right, before I leave you with our clip of the week, I just want to say one thing about the Ryder Cup. Everyone is going to be an expert on Sunday. Hindsight is 20/20. Golf is not like other sports. The coaches can't call the plays. It comes down to who plays better. Now, you have to check a few boxes in your preparation, which the U.S. did not in the past Road Ryder Cups. In 2018, as we talked about with Bubba Watson on the beginning of the show, they had all played 4 weeks in a row in the hot American summer, and then they go over to France, and they were dead the whole week. 2 years ago in Italy, most of the guys hadn't played in 6 weeks. So as long as you're not doing something like flagrantly wrong in preparation, which they're not. Both teams played, almost all the guys played 2 weeks ago at the Procore in Napa and at BMW PGA at Wentworth on the European side. Both teams have really smart stats guys. Both teams know what their pairings are going to be. Both teams know how to operate a group chat. Like, both sides are due, and I think Keegan Bradley should have played. It's not going to be the difference if they win or lose the tournament. Everyone is going to have an opinion on Sunday, especially if the Americans don't win. Especially if the Americans don't win, it's going to be, the Europeans have this team aspect or that team aspect. It's golf. It's going to come down to who makes the putts. It always does. So let's just enjoy it. It's not that deep, right? We don't need to get nasty. There's enough hate out there in the world. Let's just enjoy this competition that we've been looking forward to for so long. We don't have to set our alarms for 2 a.m. because it's a home Ryder Cup. Just enjoy it. Ben and I are going to get our asses on an airplane. We're going to sit next to each other and not make eye contact for 5 hours. And I'm going to leave you guys with our clip of the week. I love you, sickos.
I almost couldn't even feel my arms. Hear and feel the heart beating. By the time you have to go tee it up and your name's called, you have to be able to flip that switch.
Yeah, everyone talks about just how crazy it gets on the first tee.
The crowd gets so loud, and then all of a sudden it goes dead quiet, and you're over your tee shot, and you could hear a pin drop. You feel your heartbeat. You feel the intensity. It just, that's not something that happens anywhere else. So enjoy the hell out of it because it's the best.